Welcome to Holy Banter. This is Christina Steele.
And I'm Andrea Simpson.
And today we are blessed to have Deacon Jacob Miller, who will in 10 days be Father Jacob Miller. We're so blessed to have you today.
Thanks for having me, ladies.
How do you keep your hair so perfect?
Oh,
I've never seen a hair out of place.
There's a joke that at the parish I'm assigned to right now, St. Louis de Montfort and Fishers, the accountant is always keeping track when I turn in, the bill for reimbursement, what hair products I use, and keeping all of that, collecting it to be able to give out to other people. So maybe one day
Wow.
I'll keep my deep dark secret, but honestly, it's genetics.
Yeah.
Really? You're very blessed.
Yeah, my hair wants to stick straight up. So
Yeah. Like, I was just thinking, are future priests allowed to be influencers? Like, if people call and ask, what's your, OOTD, black, but, what's your hair routine? No.
that's a scary thought. It's like people want me to be an influencer.
Yeah. Well, technically, you are an influencer, just
That's
in a
true.
different way.
That's
Yes,
true.
people like to hear from their shepherds.
Mhm.
So, Deacon, tell us about the boy Jacob. You grew up on the very far east corner of our diocese.
So yeah, I was born in Muncie, Indiana, and then the furthest east that you can get in our diocese is where my home parish is, St. Mary's in Union City. So I grew up in a very rural part of our diocese, a part of Indiana, Randolph County. My folks are from Jay County, and then I went to school in Winchester, graduated in 2015. Had a pretty, I guess I would say nominal Catholic experience of just go to mass on Sundays, and then beyond that, we play sports, be at home, hang out with my family. It was in high school, I had a reversion to the faith through my confirmation. I can go into more. And then after I graduated from high school in 2015, I went to the opposite end of our diocese in Crawfordsville, where I went to Wabash College
Oh.
and was going to study to be a doctor. I had a girlfriend, and everything was leaning me towards getting married and having children. And then my sophomore year, God came crashing down and said, I want you to think about the priesthood. And
Wow.
so after a few months, I surrendered to the Lord, saw that, he was calling me, and I genuinely wanted to be a priest, became a religion major, graduated from Wabash in 2019, and joined the diocese in August of 2020 and been a seminarian ever since. And be ordained a priest here in 10 days. Praise be
Wow.
God.
Yeah. So you said in high school you had a reversion. Did you go to a Catholic high school or just regular
I was
public school?
I was a public kid. I didn't go to Catholic school until I was in seminary,
Ah,
ironically.
okay.
Yeah, so that took me like 23 years to finally get, Catholic education. I went to public school more or less my whole life until I went to college. I was, we were taking confirmation prep class. And so in our rural part of the diocese, we were just a 2-parish cluster, St. Mary's, Union City, St. Joseph, and Winchester. We'd have everyone from high school all the way down to 7th grade receive their sacraments because we were such a small class, a very rural area. And God somehow gave me the grace to kind of at 16 years old to realize that the first 16 years of my life I'd been living for myself. And so on a whim, I remember reading a story in Genesis about how after Jacob wrestled with the angel, he became Israel. And he was given over to the Lord in a new way, kind of like how Simon Peter became Peter and all these different name changes. So I thought, well, I'll be clever. And for my confirmation name, I'll choose Israel. Well, I didn't realize at the time that Israel meant he who wrestles with God, which was a bad decision.
I think that's so cool that you did that.
Well, he just set me up for a lot of wrestling to come. And so I went through confirmation class. Bishop Doherty, on the day my confirmation, confirmed me. And it was at my confirmation that I heard God's voice for the first time in my life. So the confirmation itself was a normal experience. It was during the Our Father, when we were praying it together at the Mass, that I heard God's voice. And what he said was something so profound for a 17-year-old in the midst of public school whose main concerns were impressing his friends, not trying to embarrass himself in front of girls, and just dealing with all the anxieties of being a teenager. God the Father said, "You are my beloved son. With you, I'm well pleased."
Wow.
Yeah, and that like shook me in the moment. And I was still trying to be cool, so I wasn't letting people on that I was crying,
Aw.
But yeah, it was just so profound.
So you had no doubt that was God's voice.
No, no.
Wow.
I mean, it was like it was so clearly coming outside of me,
Uh-huh.
and I failed to mention as a part of the details, the stained glass was coming through the window, and it was just warming my body. So not only to hear
Mhm.
God's voice, but the entirety of my body was just filled with the Holy Spirit. I could
Wow.
just feel God's presence in me. And then I come to find out years later, so my confirmation was on October 13th of 2013. God was reminding me that on October 13th, 1996, he made me his beloved son. I was confirmed 17 years earlier to the day. I didn't find that out until after I became a seminarian.
Of your baptism?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
what are the chances?
yeah.
Wow.
So I was just kind of blown away by that. So that was evidence to me that once again, that God the Father was just inviting me to see myself as his beloved son and to be starting this journey with him, right? And that's kind of taken me the rest of the way of college, seminary, preparation for being a priest.
So how did your life change after that profound experience?
It was a lot more intentionality with regard to my faith. Like I said, I went to public school. We didn't really have a youth group, but there was a priest at the time who used to be here at St. Alphonsus, Father Christopher Roberts,
Oh, yeah.
God rest his soul. He came in as our pastor when I was in high school, and we just clicked right off the bat. He was a very intellectual man, and he went to Harvard, and I was really, yeah, we just got along through that.
Clearly, you're intellectual if you're wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah.
What kind of
Mhm.
doctor were you thinking of?
I was probably like family physician.
Okay.
It was one of those where like I wanted to be a doctor, but I'd also tell people, like, I'd be, like, a priest just in the background as well, because usually, if you tell people you wanna be a doctor, a lawyer, a businessman, or something, like, people the adults
Mhm.
in your life were like, "Oh, yeah, good choice," you could kinda, like,
Mhm.
move on
Yeah.
from there. I didn't really know, I just knew I wanted to
Mhm.
be married and have kids. Father Roberts really poured himself into me and started up the Knights of the Holy Temple there through
Oh.
the St. Alphonsus chapter, actually. Invited them to come down the summer just before my senior year, and we started up a Knights chapter for Randolph County's 2 parishes there, and that was influential in my life too.
How was that influential?
It was really the first time that I had experienced, like, authentic Catholic
Mm.
masculine fraternity, right? Because in the school system, you have all these people who may not be Christian, let alone Catholics. I was one of the few Catholics in my county, and so to just be able to have other men that I was investing my heart into, they were investing their heart in me, and we're having those solid foundations to build up those principles to be Catholic men was so important. The Knights of the Holy Temple is what really started me on my journey to think about going to Wabash, which is an
Mm.
all-male liberal arts school.
Mm.
So
Is it religious?
it used to be affiliated with the Presbyterian
Mm.
Church, but it's not affiliated with any religion anymore. There's a Newman Catholic Center on campus,
Mm.
so I got very involved in that, but yeah, just finding after confirmation little opportunities to grow in my faith. And I always fall and I always learn, and the experience I had was God was so merciful and gentle with me as I discovered this path that he had for my life. Because if he would have told me as a 16-year-old he was calling me to be a priest, I would have said, no way. And even in
Mhm.
college, I was leaning towards that direction. But just to see that God had a plan for my life and to be able to surrender it more and more, like, yeah, you just opened my eyes and really my heart to receive that.
So you said you went to college, you were dating a girl. How did God work on your heart to kind of get you from there to I'm going to go to seminary?
Yeah. So this girl that I was dating, we ended up dating from high school into part of college. So we dated for 3.5 years.
Wow.
And she was a Lutheran. I was Catholic. But she would come to Mass with me every once in a while. I'd go to her Lutheran services every once in a while. She knew that I desired to be Catholic and to stay Catholic and to raise children in the Catholic faith. And so she was very accepting of that. As I was going off to Wabash, she was studying nursing down at IU East. And so we are on polar opposite ends of the state. And yeah, just kind of over time, that distance had built up physically between the two of us with regard to location, but also emotionally too. And yeah, I was just desiring to grow more and more in my faith. And Father Roberts saw in me, I think from the beginning, that I had a possible vocation to the priesthood. So he would joke and say, uh, say, when are you going to leave the girl and go to a real all-male school, the seminary? And I thought that was hilarious. She did not. And the reason why she did not is because she revealed this later on, years after we broke up. She also knew that I was being called to the priesthood. She had saw those signs like within me while we were dating.
What are the signs?
Yeah.
I think just in her sense, like she would tell me just an intentionality for the faith, right? Just like a seriousness about wanting to love and serve the Lord, prioritizing Sunday Mass, Eucharistic adoration, or for sure. It was going through training for the Knights of the Holy Temple. Like I said, the summer just before my senior year that I really discovered what the Eucharist was. 17 years as a Catholic, and it never crossed my mind that, oh, like this host is Jesus. And if it's Jesus, that like calls something serious out of me. Like I have to give my life to him and I have to receive him in a worthy manner, right? And to look at my actions and whether they conform to the Lord. And so like that was intensifying at that time. Yeah, just kind of all of those things came together. And so in college, while I was studying to be a doctor, I was pretty much almost done with a couple of my biology courses. It was September, right around my birthday. And yeah, I could just see that the tension that had built up between us, we were going in two different directions. And so I said, I need to step away from this relationship, even though I thought we were going to get married and we had had that conversation multiple times, to be able to follow the path that the Lord had for me, which was not initially the priesthood. So as I was, discerning over multiple months, something that kept coming up for my religion classes was just the witness of the saints. And those men, like, I think the most preeminent figure for me at that time was St. Augustine of Hippo. And in his confessions, he says, our hearts are restless until they rest in you. And I just like, yeah, Jesus, I've tasted, I've seen, like, if I don't have you and if I'm not living for you, like I'm kind of heartless. I'm empty. And from there, the Lord just kind of opened me up to, what would you think about the priesthood? And I was like, no way, Jesus. No way. No.
We are still gonna wrestle.
Yeah. We're still actively wrestling here. It's like, because like I said, I thought I wanted to be a husband and I wanted to be a father. And that's something that God had put in my heart. It's like, it doesn't make sense to have that in my heart for it just to be taken away.
Right.
And so I was fighting it, but over the span of months, I just saw like the question, what if, kept coming up. What if God is calling me to this? But I never took the time to think about it.
Did you have like a mentor, someone you could talk to about this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was running by the guys at the Newman Catholic Center at Wabash. So talk about like all male school, 900 guys on the campus, and an even closer group of guys with all these guys who are intentionally Catholic and trying to live out their faith. So we'd have Bible studies. We would pray Liturgy of the Hours together. So these guys, I was kind of running ideas by without fully, sharing. I think God may be calling me to be a priest. I remember one conversation, I was talking to a guy. I was like, hey, like, if God, like, called you to be a priest and you could just be a priest for a day, would you, like, do it? He's like, yeah, but if he was calling me to be a priest for a lifetime, I'd want to do that too. And I was like, that's not what I wanted to hear. So over the span of a couple of months, around Christmas time, that's when I went to Father Christopher Shockley, who was the
Mm.
chaplain at Wabash at the time and pastor at St. Bernard in Crawfordsville, where I was going to church. And I just said, Father, I think Jesus is inviting me to think about the priesthood. And he just looked at me and he goes, "It's about time, man." I
Oh,
was like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, we have all known for a
that's
while
so
now."
Oh.
Yeah.
fascinating.
So I think it goes to show, like, as part of this, whenever we see a possible vocation in someone, it never hurts to affirm them and let them know. I think you would make a
Mhm.
great husband and father. I think you'd make a great priest. So for a young woman, I think you would make a
Mhm.
great bride of Christ as a religious sister. Because oftentimes we're looking at the chalkboard 2 inches away and we can't
Mhm.
see what's going on. Like family members, priests in our life, our friends, all of these witnesses to our life see these things, pick up the signs, and are able to reveal them to us. And even like my parents, I got back from Christmas break my sophomore year. I was resolute at that point. Okay, I'm going to look into the priesthood. So I told them, like, I'm going to start shadowing Father Roberts while I'm back home to think about the priesthood. And they were like, not surprised at all. I was like, are you serious? It's like, yeah, it's like, you just got out of this like relationship, but we've
Mm.
known for a while now that
Huh.
you may be called to the priesthood. So just kind of the irony of the way that it worked that way.
So, but you finished school at Wabash.
Yeah. So I switched over to a religion major, was a biology minor, finished those last few years at Wabash, graduated with what was it? A Bachelor of Arts in Religion back in 2019
Mm.
and actually did two. Graduated early, but I had to wait for commencement in May to finish classes in December. And
Mhm.
that whole time at school, I was a tour guide and I worked in the admissions office. Well, there was a woman who was going on maternity leave right as I was finishing up my classes. And she was actually over the territory of, like, my home county, and so the people in admissions were like, "Well, you're gonna need to, like, have a job for the next couple of months, and we need someone to fill in. Would you wanna work as an admissions counselor for the
Oh,
next 6 months?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And that was a great opportunity of recruiting guys to come to Wabash, but then also too, if they had a interest in the Catholic faith, that's
yeah.
something that I could like explore with them and share the expertise of, hey, like, I've been down this rabbit hole of even if you're not thinking about the priesthood, like how can you get invested in your faith? I can help like pinpoint you and look at the opportunities to yeah, share your Catholic faith here at the Wabash campus. So it was a beautiful experience, and part of that became now, once again, ironically, the Lord doesn't work in coincidences. All of these
Mhm.
things He aligns. There was a young man who came right as I was finishing up my junior year, so we overlapped for a year, and he said, "Yeah, I'm either thinking about going to seminary or I'd like to study business here at Wabash." He was gonna be a wrestler. I said, "Well,
A wrestler.
yeah, yeah,
The irony.
yeah." There's like I guess wrestlers produce a
Yeah.
lot of vocation to the priesthood. There's like homeschoolers and wrestlers
Yeah.
are your big demographic. And he ended up like he went to Wabash for 2 years, and now he's gonna be ordained a priest the week after me for the Archdiocese of Indianapolis. His
No
name is
way.
Deacon Sam Hansen. So,
Oh,
Well, how
yeah.
very
cool is
cool.
that?
Yeah. So, Lord just moves in mysterious
Yeah.
ways.
So then, how quickly do you apply to go to seminary? Did you do that and then wait, or?
Yeah, I was very gung ho about becoming a seminarian. I think the people who know me here at St. Alphonsus and just in all of my assignments as a seminarian know that like I've desired for a long while to be a priest, and that zeal comes out to be a priest. And so back then, I was, doing everything I could to apply to the diocese. So the first thing that you do is, you talk to the director of vocations, get on their line, and then meet with them a couple of times. They will extend to you the application to the diocese. Once you apply to the diocese, and they'll say, okay, we want you to apply to this seminary after you're sponsored by us. So I began that work the fall of my senior year after I graduated and was working in admissions office from January to June. I was applying to become a seminarian and working with Father Aaron, our director of vocations. And yeah, I graduated from Wabash. I was in the midst of becoming a seminarian. There was a unique path that I had kind of taken. So instead of going to seminary right out of the gate of college, I stuck around in Crawfordsville and did, we would call it more or less a pastoral year now, but at the time we called it a propedeutic year.
Wonder why they changed that.
Yeah, the wording. So I would like to say I was the one for the diocese who really test ran the propedeutic year. So every guy
What
now.
does that word mean?
It just basically means like preliminary year.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We like to use complicated words.
Yeah.
Exactly. We seminarians, priests, and those in charge of formation love to use words to make us sound smart.
Yeah, someone thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
Somebody.
It's like, propedeutic. It's like now I'm
can't even
finishing
say
up
it.
like the last couple of days, I guess you could say, of like a deacon assignment in the diocese. We call that pastoral synthesis. Yes.
Okay.
So all of these words, what I'm trying to convey is seminary is not just about academics.
Yeah.
It's important for sure, the intellectual formation that our guys receive. But the diocese, the church, and quite frankly, the Lord is not interested in guys just receiving an education, be a cookie cutter priest.
Yeah.
So when people ask, how long does it take to become a priest? The answer should be for the man to answer to say, as long as the Lord desires for me to have my heart prepared, right? And so that's what, instead of talking about, I'm in third year of theology or I'm in second year of college, we emphasize these phases of formation instead to say like, I was in this stage. Now I've made this greater commitment to the church. I'm in this stage now. Yeah.
So were you in St. Louis the entire time for seminary?
Yeah.
Okay.
So outside of that propedeutic year that I stayed in the diocese at St. Bernard in Crawfordsville, I was in St. Louis for 5.5 years, graduated in December. So I like to graduate early. Yeah, I'm just an early bird. And then from January to now, I've been on assignment at St. Louis de Montfort as a deacon and just kind of the wisdom there being, guys can come out of the seminary and it feels like the experience of many a priest would say, it's like the IV is pulled from your arm,
Yeah.
you're pushed in the parish and you're like, all right, pal, you'll figure it out. Because you've been in school this long and having to adjust to life again.
Plus, it's like, I would think there's some, shock to it because you're living in community. You probably have set times for your prayer. And now all of a sudden it's like the demands of parish life.
No, yeah.
And learning how to kind of mesh all that together would be really challenging.
Spot on. And so what the church has asked for, like the Vatican going down to the USCCB and now to the seminaries or to the diocese have asked like, okay, like if we can jumpstart a man for his, getting acclimated back to the diocese and preparation for being a priest earlier, let's do that.
That's
So what it's going to look like overall in a lot of seminaries will be, some places have implemented it like mine, others are still rolling it out, but they'll graduate a semester early. They'll be back in their diocese, assigned at a parish, and just getting that legwork done to be able, when they're a priest, they can kind of hit the ground running with ease. They know their resources, and just to figure out, like, you don't think about these things when you're in seminary. It was like, think I'm going to serve the people of God, and so I need to know these resources around me. Just a thing of resources for myself too, right? Like, who's my doctor going to be?
Yeah,
Who's my
exactly.
dentist going to be? Who are the people that I make sure I'm taking care of myself so that way I can take care of the people of God?
Who's cutting my hair? Am I getting my products?
Where's the local place that I can make sure that the hair is on point?
Yes, it's important. It's important. So I heard a rumor that you used to live here at St. Alphonsus.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
And I was assigned here after my first actual year of seminary. That was an awesome summer. Awesome summer.
You guys really bonded.
Yes. And Father Travis and I still like get together. Like last Friday, I just kind of text him. I was like, hey, what are you doing tonight? He's like, nothing. What are you doing? So we got together, we got sushi, and we hung out over at the
That's
rectory. Just,
cool.
Nice.
yeah.
Well, how was that living with him and his cats?
The cats were hilarious.
Yeah.
We'd find different opportunities, like we'd like look up, like, for example, I would like be over to the side. Tigger is right by the door. And so I'd start playing like different like critter noises, like a rabbit or a bat or something like that. And you just see the cat like on edge looking for it. So that was fun.
Did a cat favor you? Like, were you Tigger's favorite?
Tigger, well, they have different personalities for the people at St. Alphonsus that haven't interacted a lot with the cats. Tigger is the extrovert of the two cats. So he'll come up and he's the one who'll just kind of like love on you, come and sit by you.
Or murder all the birds.
Or murder all the birds. Yes. He really he loves to bring critters in the house.
It's so gross.
And then you have sweet Sophie, as I call her, Sophie. And Sophie she's the introverted cat. So she's the one, like, as long as you're not like pestering her, like she'll like come and say hi, and then she'll move on really quickly and mind her own business. So the cats were fun. It was just a great experience that summer. And then 2 summers ago, I was working at Ascension St. Vincent
Oh, yeah.
Hospital as a chaplain. And so I was back here for a summer in residence. So that was a lot of fun
Yeah.
too.
Because I know you spent a lot of time with the young adults.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hang out with the young adults, and in a lot of ways just reconnecting with people who I had been with earlier in this, like 4 years earlier. Because it's a unique experience of, we have a seminarian, and so oftentimes they get moved on to another place, but
Mhm.
for him to come back and to see like how much he's hopefully matured, or just like how much further he is in his relationship with the Lord as well,
Yeah.
right? As he like
Mhm.
discovers the parts of his heart that have received healing over time at the seminary. So yeah, so it's been a lot of fun, and excited for ordination, see how many of the St. Alphonsus and just the various other parishioners I've had over the
Yeah.
years, just to share the gift of my priesthood with.
Yeah.
So what do a priest and a future priest talk about over sushi on a Friday night?
Yeah. A lot of it just talk about, like, we have a common experience of going to seminary. Father Travis went to St. Meinrad, and he went to the Josephinum. And
Mhm.
so he would talk about what his time was like there. I'd talk like my time at the seminary in St. Louis, Kenrick Glennon. Uh, it's just talk about, yeah, just kind of the things that are bringing us life in our present stages of priestly ministry or being a seminarian. Uh, yeah, just talk about like what are some of the funny stuff going on at the parish, just to hear about like the projects that the
Mhm.
maintenance staff is on, or you know, this person is looking at this at the parish. Here recently, just talking about, like, I know he's got his eye towards possible like planning for the future for St.
Mhm. Yeah.
Alphonsus,
Right.
which a number of parishes and dioceses are doing. And then we just finished at St. Louis de Montfort. We started our first phase of a capital campaign.
Mhm.
So being able just to talk about those kinds of things, which we're not trained for at the seminary, to talk
Right.
I
about
know, isn't
like
that crazy?
finances, budgets, like kind of planning out all that different kinds of stuff, but just to have an ear like to share it with. And he was also at St. Louis
That's
for a
right.
couple of years too. So
Mhm.
we able to talk about that. Yeah. Father Travis he's at his like phase of the priesthood where he's, experienced 10 plus years. So he's a seasoned vet, I would
Mhm.
say. And so for a rookie to come and be like, Father, like, can I get your take on this? Or what do you think about
Yeah.
that? With this situation, how would you handle that? And able to play that by him has been a lot of fun.
I'd say what I love about Father Travis is he's so down to earth and easy to talk to. And, like, I do feel like I can tease him like he's my brother
Yeah.
because he's the same age as my brother.
And I love to say when he does anything silly, I say priests are just like us, you know?
Yep.
But it's
We're human.
it's fun to work for him because of that. It's just so, yeah, I could
Yeah,
see.
he gives us the opportunity to really feel that he's like us, and he's there for us. And, especially one of the cool things, and now that you're going to be a priest soon, like one of the things I appreciate the most about him is I had a family member pass away and we didn't have a priest to do the funeral because they lived a bit a ways away. And he got out his phone and he was like, I'm available that day. I'll do it. So just to have that support for staff and the people at the parish to just make the time for that, it means so much.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
great that you have him in your corner that you can talk to him about
Mhm.
that.
I know he and I have talked about this, and it kind of goes back to what it is I was talking about, like discernment of the vocation of the priesthood. When I was wrestling with, like, Lord, feel this call to the priesthood, but I also have this desire for marriage and family life. What can that be about? And what was kind of revealed to me over time, and other priests have affirmed, is like God writes in the heart of every man a desire to be a husband and a father. He's put that natural desire for marriage there. In the same way for women, he's put that desire to be a bride and to be a mother. What God writes, he doesn't take away. But what he's asking us when we discern a vocation, the priesthood, religious life, to be a sister, whatever it may be, what he's asking is, will you allow me to supernaturally fulfill and to be a
Mhm.
father, not by biological terms, but by spiritual
Yeah.
terms?
Mhm.
Because priests are just as much fathers as, the guy down the street who's, walking with his son down to the baseball game. And that's what I've experienced. And, this time of being a seminarian, like, if I wasn't called to be a husband and a father, I wouldn't be doing this. I just called to do it in a different way than, you know, most people are. One of the beauties of the priesthood is just like they give their hearts over
Mhm.
to you, the people of God. So it's like I love, like, yesterday I went out, the kindergarten and the second grade at St. Louis de Montfort was out playing recess. Like,
Mm.
Deacon Miller, kick the
Aw.
kickball. So they like had me come up. They give me high fives, they give me hugs. Like,
Aw.
they've gotten to know me these last 5 months, but I mean, initially, they didn't know me from anyone else, but they saw the power of my vocation and the power of what this collar means on my
Mhm.
neck, and they know what that means is, like, yeah, that, I'm here for them
Mhm.
as a
Mhm.
father, and so just to be able to experience that concretely through the kids
Aw.
and through other people at the parish and in various assignments is just, yeah, it's just been so affirming. So it
That's
just goes to
awesome.
show, and if anyone listening to this, a young man being called to the priesthood or a young woman to religious life, just let them know they're not giving up being a husband and a father or a wife and a mother, but God's calling them to a lot more fulfilling life than what it is that they could imagine. Just follow where he's calling you, you
That's
know?
beautiful. So one of your other talents is an artist. Is that something you've had your whole life?
Yeah, I've always been interested in doing art. I've gone through phases of different kinds of art that I'll like, the time that I'll give to making art. But yeah, art has just been something that has really spoken to me. I'd say really beauty in general, right?
Mhm.
Like, so I grew up, I really liked comic books. I was a big
Mm.
Superman and Batman guy. Start off as superheroes, and then when I was in high school, my taste got a little bit more refined and beyond just superheroes. I also start, like, making some, like, religious art and, like,
Mhm.
doing, like, images of Jesus, Mary, and various saints. Uh and then in college, it kinda went to the side, and then when I was in seminary, we just had an opportunity. I was pretty much halfway through seminary. We were having an art show on the feast of Saint Joseph on March 19th of that year, and I was just like, "You know what? I need to challenge myself to get back into art." And so I made one image of, it's called the priestly heart of Jesus. So it depicts the moment at the mass when the priest holds up the host and the chalice. He says, "Behold the Lamb of God." And it's Christ the priest, so he's the one holding up the host, the chalice. He's wearing the priestly vestments, and then inside of the host is his heart, and his
Wow.
heart is
Mm.
bleeding into the chalice. So I wanted to show people, like, that's what I see the ministry of the priesthood. Like, Jesus gives his heart to the priest, and then the priest gives his heart in the Eucharist to the people of God. And then
You were probably blown away that you had
Very
that
cool.
talent.
yeah. Yeah, well, I kinda picked it up, like, once again, like, it had been probably, like, 5 or 6 years, so then people were like, "I didn't know," like the other seminarians were like, "I didn't know you could draw." I was like, "I had forgotten that I could draw, to be honest," right? And then the image that, I've been giving people as I approach priesthood, most priests will come up with some kind of holy card to give out. So
Yeah.
a holy image, and they'll have the information say, "Please
Mhm.
pray for Father so and so." Well, I had in seminary, the year following making that priestly heart of Jesus image, I made another one of our seminary chapel, and in it, Jesus once again as the priest offering his heart in the Eucharist, but then having the Immaculate Heart of Mary and the chaste heart of Joseph as part of that too, and to see from the Eucharist flows graces that pour out as Mary's heart is holding onto the world and Joseph's heart is holding onto the church. To
Hmm.
see that's what I see going on at Mass. And I said, well, I've made the image. I might as well put that on my holy card, right? And
Yeah.
so,
Mhm.
yeah, just something that's always spoke to me, the hearts of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. So I thought I'd throw it on there.
Yeah, we're looking
Very
at it and
cool.
it's just beautiful.
Mm.
That's so neat that you could do that. Draw your own holy cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I mean, God spoke to you when you're a teenager, and now you're less than 2 weeks from being a priest. So how does God speak to you now?
Yeah. When I was in college, I discovered on this journey towards the priesthood, and I have the quote on that holy card. St. John Vianney says that the priesthood is the love of the heart of Jesus. For some reason, that phrase has always stuck out to me. And then as I like go back and survey my life, I see that like the Sacred Heart of Jesus has been such a preeminent part of my life. It was present in my grandmother's home. She had
Mhm.
7 kids. I was one of the younger ones. So like by then, my grandparents were aging, but grandma had all of these images of the Sacred Heart, the Immaculate Heart in her home. I didn't understand this whole
Probably the
thing.
old one that's like yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably the same one my grandma
It's
had.
like off color,
Yeah,
it's
faded
worn and
from, like, the
loved.
40s or
Oh
something,
my
yes.
Yes.
goodness.
Yeah. So I just remember that image sticking out to me. And like, I think this journey of the priesthood is discovering that the Lord has made my heart to look like his heart and to receive the gift of love from his heart first and foremost.
Mhm.
And then as a priest, from what it is I've received, to go and to pour himself, his heart out on his people. And so, like, for me, that's always like the image of the Sacred Heart for people who really know me know that's what speaks to me. It's like it's even I just
Yeah, on
realized
your shirt.
it's on my quarter zip that I'm wearing too over my cleric. So yeah, the Sacred Heart of Jesus always spoke to me so profoundly. And part of that too, just yeah, once again, the Lord doesn't work through coincidences. My home parishes are St. Mary's in Union City, Immaculate Heart, St. Joseph in Winchester, the Chaste Heart, and we're part of this 4 parish cluster called the Holy Family Pastorate, Hearts of the Holy Family.
Oh my
So,
gosh, that's
Wow.
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So all of that to say, I think like for me, it just boils down to the priesthood is experiencing and loving the heart of Jesus, and then
Mhm.
yeah, just sharing that heart that I've been blessed to receive with other people. And hopefully when they see me, like in the midst of my own broken humanity, they also see the Lord dwelling close to me as well. So when it's me giving out the Eucharist at my first mass, which is so like exciting to think about, or when it's me hearing someone's confession and giving them divine mercy, it's Jesus doing it through me, right?
Mhm. So your when's your first mass? I know your ordination's May 30th, is it that night?
Yep, May 31st, that Sunday, we'll be back at St. Mary's in Union City, my home parish, for Trinity Sunday. I have a I have a vestment that I'll wear, a gold vestment that's been given to me that'll have the Trinity in it, and it'll have the hearts of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph in it.
Aw.
So that's
Oh.
kinda like gonna be the focus of my priesthood from here on out, right? Starting with my first mass is the Holy Trinity and the Holy Family and just them pouring out graces into our lives.
So is that what you're most looking forward to is being able to say mass?
Yep. It's been very rare over these last few years of being a seminarian. Like I could probably count on one hand the number of times that I've missed mass these 7 years of being a seminarian. Like I've gone to mass every single day. I love mass. And so to be able to celebrate mass with the people of God and then just to like say the words of the
Mhm.
Lord that's going to
Mhm.
turn that
Mhm.
bread and wine into his body, blood, soul, and divinity, like and just experience that like intimacy with Jesus in that moment. I'm excited for I'm excited for confessions too, and just be like something so profound as someone coming to the sacrament of reconciliation to me, a stranger, and just sharing their heart and everything that they've done over weeks months, years,
Mhm.
and to be able to say, like, "Go, your sins are forgiven."
Mm,
It's just yeah, I'm just really excited for that.
yeah. That would be a beautiful space to be able to show Jesus's love to people who are hurting.
Yeah,
It's really a nice gift that you can give.
yeah,
Mhm.
and just to in a real concrete way, just to pinpoint, like, the attention back on the Lord, right? Like,
Oh.
he gives mercy, he's given me his mercy
Mhm.
first and foremost as a priest. Now we're gonna give it to you and be able to carry on in your relationship with the Lord. Yeah, there's a lot of things I'm excited for being a priest, to just continue to be, like to draw closer to the Lord in my own prayer, in my own intimacy with him, and draw people close to him, like, as a result of that.
Yeah. I'm guessing you really have to fight for that prayer time too and really schedule that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been that's one of the things of adjusting back to the diocese, like you said,
Mhm.
Christina, of yeah, in the seminary, we're used to regimented prayer and just, finding those opportunities if it means involves waking up early to be able to pray. But it's the same as, like, I would compare it to, like, a husband and a wife.
Mhm.
Like, they need quality time with each other. Otherwise, the relationship disintegrates and it falls apart. And, it's perfectly okay to say, like, "Okay, like, we're gonna change things up and start from scratch." So the way that I prayed at the beginning of my seminary journey doesn't look the same as it does now. Find ways to, like, innovate and, like, make my relationship fresh with the Lord and the church. But, yeah, it's just, like, I notice in my life when I
Mhm.
don't have that quality time of prayer that I really need, and a lot of times it's, I can make the excuse of, I need to get this thing done,
Mm.
and just focusing on it's like, no, the thing that I need to do is to be in check with Jesus. Because if I'm not close to the Lord and in check with him, realizing where he's present in my life, I'm not going to be able to make him present in other people's
Mhm.
lives as effectively.
I think it's hard, and I don't know if it is for priests, but, we live or we work 5 steps from an adoration chapel, but it's like you're sitting in there and I am in charge of the adoration chapel, so I'm looking around like, "I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to go," and that to me has been the hardest part of working at the church is being able to shut that part of your
Yeah.
brain off.
You're not in, like, work mode. It's like,
Right.
okay, like, I'm in,
Mhm.
like, rest mode, or
Yeah.
I'm in prayer mode. I think we had a we had a reflection a few weeks ago at St. Louis. I was leading just a staff on
Mm.
Tuesday mornings once a month. We'll just get together for Eucharistic adoration just for 30 minutes before lunch and just pray together as a staff, which is so powerful. And my pastor, Father Hahn, invited me to give a reflection, and I wanted to make it short and sweet because I know there's a lot of things that people can be thinking about. We just got out of First Holy Communions, confirmation season, Corpus Christi coming up, just a lot that can always have our attention. So I just reflected, and I love the story of, once again, St. John Vianney. He noticed this peasant farmer who would come in and spend hours in front of the Blessed Sacrament. And John Vianney, coming out of the confessional, he just approached the man. He said, "What are you saying to the Lord to spend so much time with him in adoration?" He wanted to know. And the man said, "And yeah, just take this, and I let this be the place of my prayers. Like, I don't say anything to him. I just look at him and he looks at me." And so oftentimes, like, we
Mhm.
complicate our prayer. It's like,
Mm.
I need to get this thing checked off, the list of my prayers, or I need to get this thing done. Just say, all I need to do in the midst of the moment is let Jesus look at my heart, because he knows what's going on before I ever say. And then just allow me to look at his heart present in the Eucharist. And from there, we'll just have like a union of hearts. It's like, I look at him, he looks at me. Lord, this is enough, right? I don't
Mhm.
have to accomplish anything other than just loving you in this moment, because I know you're loving me. So that's something I have to remind myself of
Mhm.
so often too as a priest, right? And especially with a lot of news that are going to be coming in, to be patient and say, like, okay, Lord, like, right now it is a little bit of work as I figure out what I'm doing, but, like, I trust that over time it's going to become like second nature.
Yeah.
And so you do what you want to do in me, through me, with me. I'm just along on this journey with you.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah.
I could probably listen to you talk for, like, hours.
Go
Be
to
like,
St.
"Yes, go on."
You can go to St. Louis to Montfort.
I know.
I could also talk for hours.
Yeah, that's
so.
hey, we could hang out forever, pretty much.
So, what advice do you have for anyone? I mean, you kind of said something earlier, but just if someone is discerning, like what advice do you have for them?
Yeah, I would say, I think a really impactful moment, like I showed or talked about with Father Roberts, was having a priest who was investing in me. And then so that's where it started, was seeing the life of a priest shared with me, someone who was invested in me as a father, as a shepherd. And then from there, when I went to Wabash, I got to see through Father Shockley, like, he is so joyful as a priest. He's goofy. Like, he just likes to have fun. People know that. People know that he joyfully lives out his priesthood. So I think if you're thinking about the priesthood, or, if you want to learn more about it, find priests in your life or close to you who are joyful, who love being priests, and let them be an example
Hmm.
to you. In the same way that I would encourage, like, a man who desires to be, a husband, like, look at those relationships that you have in your life of men who have faithfully lived out marriage and the joy that they've had.
Mm.
You want to live out marriage joyfully, or you want to live marriage out, in this crabby way,
Mm.
which, reality is we have both examples before us. We have both examples that can be provided in the priesthood. So choosing to find those joyful priests and say, what is it about you, Father, that makes a difference in your life? Because I want what it is that you have. And I think whether the Lord is inviting a man to be a priest and they're on board with it, or whether they're wrestling with it, let Jesus have the space in your life through prayer, through adoration, through reading, and whatever it is, just allow him the space to prove you wrong, or at least to say, okay, Lord, I answered the what if, I looked into it, and from here I can move on towards a further decision towards the priesthood. Or I can say, yep, I took the time, and maybe I even went to seminary.
Mhm.
That's the thing about guys who go to seminary. I went to the seminary, I took the time to discern, and I see that you are inviting me to be like a married man.
Yeah.
Praise be God.
Well, it's interesting you say that because we interviewed Father Tyler Kripke, sorry,
Mhm.
and that was one of the things he talked about is how men will discern out and people almost think they failed and it's like, no, that's part of the discernment is that's not for me,
Yeah.
and it's not gonna hurt you to have that experience and formation,
No.
and it's kind of something I think we misunderstand.
Yeah. Well, it's understandable because especially in our American culture, we think I'm going to be a doctor.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go, off to school to study to be a doctor. I'm going to be a lawyer, law school.
Mhm.
And so we have these things planned out and mapped out for our lives, and that's good and holy. But
Sometimes.
be able to say
Sometimes.
too, yeah,
Sometimes things are
yeah,
go differently.
yeah. This is like, if the Lord is inviting you to at least consider to be a priest, and there's no harm in going to the seminary, like, if you stick around the seminary and it's evident that you're called to be a priest, like, you will end up becoming a priest.
Mhm.
Like, I'll be here in the next 10 days. Or, like, I have plenty of guys who from other dioceses that I went to seminary with became some of my best friends. And they're either married with kids or they have kids. The seminary was meant to help them grow in holiness
Yeah.
and their relationship with the Lord. First and foremost, we're called to be saints. You go to seminary to become a saint, and out of the process, if he's calling you to be a priest, then you
Yeah.
continue on that path. And if you say, I've grown in my relationship with the Lord, and now I'm being called out to be 11 in the world as a husband and as a father, do it. Like,
Yeah.
it's a win for the church,
Exactly.
regardless.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna be praying for you.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see Father Jacob, and I might have to run over to Louis de Montfort to go to mass, so
Mhm. Yeah, and I'll be calling you to get you to come do confessions for our middle schoolers.
Oh, yeah.
Anytime you wanna come visit, we'd love to have you.
That's some of the things that we practice at the seminaries. All of these, like, scenarios. So we'll have, like, our final semester of seminary. We'll do practice mass, practice confessions, and we do, like, you have, the people who have gone to confession for years, who are married. Then you have the first confessions, the
Mhm.
kids who are nervous. You have the kid who's like, I did this, I did that, I did
Mhm.
blah 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 blah, and then just like a great big pause is like, is that it? No, I got more. I did this. I did that. So it's like, we're just, there for whatever. So yeah, whatever.
So do you have someone role playing the kid?
Yeah, usually it's
I could give you some. Do
Yeah,
you want
yeah.
some?
yeah. It's
What?
usually
100.
it's usually a priest at the seminary.
Oh
One
my
of
God.
one of the priests, like faculty members who will
He's
act
heard it
out.
all.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
funny.
It's funny when you have it's just like outside of the moment, you just imagine like these two men having a conversation where this 40 or 50 something year old priest is acting like he's like a teenager.
I would
And
love
he
to see
gets
that.
all of that drama like in there to be able to make it more like
Yeah.
real fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So
Gosh, I want that job. That'd be kind of fun.
Oh my gosh.
That's hysterical. That is nice because then you can kind of practice, like, what would I say?
Yeah.
And yeah.
yeah, it's because like people are nervous about going to confession.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, like I kind of nervous about what advice do you get?
Yeah.
It's like
There's kind of some pressure
I'm
there.
just a little baby priest. Like it's like that's like like I'll give you absolution, but I'll do my best to let the Holy Spirit like speak into my life and yours, and maybe give you a little nuggets to take away. But I think it's a lot more powerful just for people to know like your sins are forgiven.
Mhm.
Go in peace, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
need to overly complicate.
No,
this.
not at
No,
all.
you're like first time listener, long time caller.
Yeah.
That's funny.
No, you know what? I think it was Father Zach from
Yeah.
Our Lady of Mount Carmel.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe just go talk to him
Yeah,
for a little bit about that.
Okay, that's a Holy Spirit moment because I thought the exact same thing. He's awesome.
And
if you want good advice on
I will
confession.
tell you, it wasn't like a speech or anything. And I actually have it still hanging up in my
Mhm.
cube. He just wrote down a verse from Matthew and was like, hey, go look at this.
Yeah, he did the same
And
thing
I was
to me.
like, okay. And then,
Mhm.
of course, I cried afterwards when I
No.
read it and then put it up in the cube. So, like, he didn't need to give me a speech. He didn't need to be,
No, he gave me Isaiah 43, 1-7, and that
Yeah.
was like 2 years ago, and it started me on a journey of
Mhm.
that's like one of my favorite quotes now. So,
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but
I don't think you need
he's
to overthink it.
insightful of when you confess, what's the underlining wound?
Yes.
That's where he's
Mm.
good of like,
Yes.
this is because like for me, it was my struggle with approval. And he's like, you don't trust that God loves you.
Yeah.
Pray with this. That's
And mine
where,
was anxiety. And so it
Yeah.
was like, do not be afraid. Yeah.
so I think that is the gift that like, where's that,
Mhm.
what's that woundedness that's causing this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's spot on. And that's what, like, as we prepare to be priests, like, that's what basically seminary formation is to find that stuff within our own hearts first and foremost,
Mhm.
and let the Lord be there. So that way, having gone into the messiness of our own lives,
Mhm.
we then can be there with people. Because what it
Mhm.
is, whether it's confession and bringing those sins before the Lord, whatever it is, there's the sins and there's the things that we do. And then at the deeper layer, it's
Mhm.
the reason why we do those
Mhm.
things. That can be a wound, it can be a hurt, it can be
Mhm.
an insecurity, whatever it is. Like, a lot of priests will tell you, like, sin is boring. Sin is so boring.
That's what Father Mike Schmitz always says.
Yeah.
We're garbage men.
Ooh.
Garbage isn't interesting.
No, it's like we as priests we're trained and we're a lot more interested in people's lives behind all the messiness. Like
Mhm.
that's where Jesus wants to be. And that's
Mhm.
where like he shows us, like, even with like Thomas after he rises from the dead. He says,
Mhm.
put your hands into my hands, put your finger into my side. Like Jesus has us touch his wounds, so we receive healing.
Mhm.
And from there, our own wounds become a place. He doesn't take those wounds
Mhm.
away, but he heals them and they become a source of grace for other people.
Right.
I just really appreciate your attitude about it because I'm an Enneagram 7, so that means I'm a joyful person. So when you say find the priest with joy, I'm like, yes. But like, I love that you're excited about confession,
Yeah.
right? So if we can get that perspective and how we look at things, how you look at the priesthood, that just excites me because I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I can't wait to see you do great
Mhm.
things with that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think the last thing I would say is just continue to pray for our men who are thinking about being priests, the men who have already laid down their
Yeah.
lives to be priests. As I said before, we cannot do this job separate from Jesus and his grace in our
Mhm.
life. Like, it could be a very lonely life. when
Yeah.
you try to go through it alone, and especially, like, by the world's standards, if you're a priest, you're a celibate, you don't have wife and kids,
Mhm.
like, it could seem like, in a worldly sense, like we're setting our men up for disaster.
Mhm.
Mm.
But if the man has a relationship with the Lord like none other,
Mm.
and that is central in his life, it becomes evident. And you'd say, like he doesn't actually, that room that a wife and a children would fill, Jesus has completely, like, taken over to
Mhm.
where, like, everyone's a part of his family. And so, yeah, it's just pray for
Yeah.
our priests to know and love the Lord, and that they reflect his heart to
Mhm.
their people, right?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can also have cats.
And you can have cats, you can have dogs, you can have a squirrel too, I guess. I don't
Oh,
know.
man. I mean, probably. We'll let you do that. Well, thanks for coming to talk to
Yeah,
us.
Yeah.
thank you, and we'll be praying for you.
Thank you, ladies.
If you love Holy Banter, you can support us by opening your podcast app and hitting the 5-star button and leaving a quick review. It's easy and it helps us reach way more people. Thank you for listening.